Welcome to the Drama Free Workforce Podcast with your host, Jennifer Long.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Long, and I want to talk a little bit for a minute about the difference between psychological safety and psychological readiness. We use the term psychological safety a lot, and for good reason. Amy Edmondson's research has shown that for years, that teams with higher psychological safety perform better, make more discoveries, and catch more errors because people feel safe to speak up and they know it's okay to do so. But I want to draw a sharp distinction that matters for especially high reliability organizations when it comes to safety and what they really need when it comes to accountability work. Psychological safety is not the same thing as psychological readiness. Psych safety is a shared belief about how we work together. So it would be things like, around here, I won't be punished or humiliated for speaking up, asking questions, or admitting a mistake. Psychological readiness is a real-time state. It's a muscle. It's actually your memory in action. So it's very different. And so that sounds like right now in this situation with these people, I am ready and I will act, right? And I know how to act and I know what to say and how I could say it, which is very different than a condition of psychological safety, right? You can have high psychological safety on your engagement survey and still have a person freeze in the moment when they need to intervene or speak up or stop a process. So safety is about culture, right? Psychological safety is about the culture. It's the readiness. It's about capacity and action. But let's talk about what we talk about when we're looking at psychological readiness, right? And so the military does a lot of research on this kind of thing. And so it defines readiness as multidimensional and connected to sustained performance under stress, right? So military psychology broadly frames readiness as the ability to function effectively in high-risk operational conditions. One important evolution, right? Even the military thinking focused heavily on toughness, but here's how you really need to think about it in terms of a HOP lens and as an accountability practice lens, right? When we think about psychological readiness, we want to focus on adaptability, emotional regulation, team cohesion, recovery capacity, and cognitive flexibility. How fast do you think on your feet? So here's the basic science. And this is why we do role plays in training. And this is why we want people to embody these kinds of things, right? Assuming that people are actually going to embody the role play as opposed to talk about the role play. And if you've been in training, you know what I talk about, because sometimes we don't spend the time in the role. We think about the role, we don't embody it. So there's a big shift getting people to actually play the role, right? Because it creates a combination of what's called forced articulation and improvisation, right? Both of which are like going to the gym. What it does is it asks you to do reps. You're forced to speak some iteration of a script that you either have made up on your own or that has been created for you in a certain context. Doing this work, right? And this is proven that doing this work, right, creates capacity within the person to then know what it feels like to say something in this condition, in this context, which creates a sense memory, right? So when we are forced into, or when we actually do experience this, and this is common military practice, is why we do simulators, all of these things, all of the science is there. But there is this big distinction between creating the condition, right? Psychological safety by itself only creates capacity as a condition, whereas psychological readiness creates capacity in the individual to act. It is how we increase capacity in a person, right? So the HOP journey is about creating capacity for failure in the first place. So if you're looking in your processes and systems, right, for better design, better procedures and learning teams, that's capacity in your system. But that capacity only becomes real when the people inside that system are ready in the moment to ask a question, to call a timeout, to reset an expectation, or to surface a concern. Psychological readiness is what you can observe, right? Do they speak up? Do they stop work? Do they call out the lack of PPE to senior leaders when they show up, right? Because those are going to be contexts that people are going to look to the side. Is anybody saying anything to this person? Do they have your back when it matters? That's what you want to create the muscle memory around. So that's where accountability practice really comes in. You don't get psychological readiness from posters or values or principles. You get it from how you actually talk, what you say in the moment about performance choices, about evident risk, and in learning, how you set expectations, how you respond when they're missed, how you invite ownership instead of blame, how you practice those conversations before the stakes are high is going to help you be ready when the stakes are high. So if you remember one thing, psychological safety is a cultural condition you create every time you get with your team. Psychological readiness is a real-time state. It's the muscle memory for action. Psychological safety alone primes the space. It creates capacity by creating a container to speak up. And psychological readiness is the manifestation of capacity in the individual to act. And you build it in your people through a disciplined accountability practice. And we call those accountability labs. And I'll talk to you about those on another little video. Let me share what I'm thinking about.
Thank you for listening to the Drama-Free Workforce Podcast. To get more information about Own Up, go to accountabilityatwork.com. To get more information about Jennifer, go to jennifertlong.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for listening.